The hospital room was a sterile cage, its white walls closing in on Alex Harper as he stared at the ceiling, counting the tiles for the 100th time. At 17, he'd already spent half his life tethered to machines and wheelchairs, his legs useless since the accident that stole his childhood. But today, something burned fiercer than the Pina secret he'd buried so deep it felt like a second heartbeat. He wasn't supposed to fall for Jamie Carter. Not Jamie, the golden boy of Willow Creek High, with his easy smile and quarterback swagger, who volunteered at the community center where Alex spent his afternoons. Everyone thought Jamie was just being kind, helping the disabled kid out of pity or some saintly obligation. They didn't see the way his eyes lingered a little too long, or how his laugh softened when Alex cracked a sarcastic joke. They didn't know about the late-night texts, the ones that started with dumb memes but ended with confessions neither dared say aloud. It started 6 months ago, in the spring, when Jamie first walked into the community center's art room, his sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. Alex had been sketching, his pencil scratching out a cityscape where he could walk among the skyscrapers. "Yo, that's dope," Jamie had said, leaning over Alex's shoulder, close enough that Alex caught the scent of cedar and mint. He'd shrugged, muttering something about it being just a sketch. But Jamie's grin was like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Bet you could sell these," Jamie had said, plopping into the chair beside him. "You're, like, secretly a genius, aren't you?" Alex had rolled his eyes, but his chest tightened. No one ever called him a genius. They called him brave, or inspiring, or worspedied him in hushed tones. But Jamie saw him. That first day turned into weeks, then months. Jamie started showing up regularly, helping Alex with supplies, pushing his wheelchair when the ramps were too steep, or just sitting with him while Alex drew. They talked about everything: music, movies, the stars they'd sneak out to watch from the community center's rooftop. Jamie would ramble about his dreams of escaping Willow Creek, of becoming a writer, while Alex listened, sketching Jamie's profile in secret. He'd never show those drawings. They were too raw, too full of a longing he couldn't name. But the town wasn't blind. Willow Creek was small, its heart conservative, its whispers sharp. Alex heard them at the grocery store, at church, even at school when he managed to attend. "Such a sweet boy, that Jamie," they'd say, "always looking out for the Harper kid." The word stung, reducing Alex to a charity case and Jamie to a saint. They didn't know Jamie was hiding from his father's expectations, from the pressure to be the perfect son, the perfect athlete. They didn't know Jamie's smiles were armor, or that he'd once whispered to Alex, under the cover of a late-night call, "You're the only one who gets me." The tension came to a head one humid June evening. They were on the rooftop, the air thick with the scent of honeysuckle. Alex had been quiet, his hands gripping the armrests of his wheelchair. His latest sketch, a portrait of Jamie tucked under his sketchbook. Jamie was sprawled on a blanket, staring at the sky, his voice low as he talked about college, about leaving. "I don't know if I can do it," he admitted. "Dad wants me to play ball, get a scholarship. But that's not me." Alex's heart pounded. He wanted to say it then, to tell Jamie he didn't have to be anything but himself. Instead, he said, "You're braver than you think." Jamie turned, his eyes locking onto Alex's, and for a moment, the world held its breath. Then Jamie's phone buzzed his dad, demanding he come home. The moment shattered. Summer brought more stolen moments, but also more eyes. The whispers grew louder when Jamie was seen pushing Alex's wheelchair through the park, or when they laughed too freely at the diner. Alex noticed the looks, some curious, some disapproving. Jamie's teammates started ribbing him, their jokes laced with an edge Alex recognized too well. "What's with you and the wheelchair kid? One of them asked at a team barbecue. Jamie's jaw tightened, but he laughed it off, his eyes flickering to Alex with an apology he couldn't voice. Alex hated it. He hated being the reason Jamie had to hide. He hated the way his own heart betrayed him, aching for something he wasn't sure Jamie could give. But then there were nights like the one in July, when Jamie drove them out to the lake. Just the two of them. They sat by the water, the moonlight dancing on the surface, and Jamie reached for Alex's hand. Not a word was spoken, but the touch said everything. Alex's pulse raced, his fears drowned out by the warmth of Jamie's fingers intertwined with his. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" Jamie asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "All the time," Alex replied, his throat tight. He wanted to say more, to ask if Jamie felt it to the pull, the ache, the need to be closer. But fear stopped him. Fear of ruining what they had. Fear of the town. Fear of his own broken body. By August, the cracks were showing. Jamie's dad, Coach Carter, started questioning why his son spent so much time at the community center instead of training. Alex overheard him once, his voice booming through the gym. "You're throwing away your future for what? Some kid who can't even walk." The words cut deeper than any wound Alex had ever felt. He wheeled away before Jamie could see the tears. That night, Jamie showed up at Alex's house, his eyes red, his fists clenched. "I'm sorry," he said, standing in the doorway. "He doesn't get it. He doesn't get us." "Us," Alex echoed, his heart in his throat. Jamie stepped closer, his voice shaking. "You're not just some kid to me, Alex. You're everything." The confession hung between them, fragile and electric. Alex wanted to pull Jamie close, to erase the distance. But the world felt too heavy, too watchful. He managed to smile, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "You're not so bad yourself, Carter." They laughed, but it was a fragile sound, masking the truth neither was ready to face. The town was closing in, and time was running out. Soon, Jamie would have to choose between the life his father wanted and the one he was starting to imagine with Alex. And Alex would have to decide if he was brave enough to let himself love, knowing it might break them both. The first day of senior year was a gauntlet. Alex navigated the crowded halls of Willow Creek High, his wheelchair catching on every uneven tile, his nerves fraying with every glance thrown his way. He'd always been the disabled kid. But now, with Jamie at his side more often, the stairs carried a different weight, speculative, judgmental, sometimes cruel. Jamie walked beside him, carrying Alex's books, his jaw set like he was ready to fight the world. But Alex could see the strain in his eyes, the way he flinched when a teammate called out, "Yo, Carter, you playing nurse again?" They didn't talk about it, but the tension was a living thing between them. Jamie was slipping, caught between the expectations of his father, his team, and the town, and the quiet truth he shared with Alex. At lunch, they found a corner table, away from the noise. Jamie pushed a fry around his plate, his voice low. "I told my dad I might not play football this year. He lost it." Alex's stomach twisted. "What did he say?" "Said I'm wasting my life. Said I'm distracted." Jamie's eyes flicked to Alex, then away. "He doesn't know about you." "Not really. But he's not stupid." Alex wanted to reach for him, to tell him it was okay to walk away from the game, from his father's dreams. But he knew what it meant to Jamie: the scholarship, the escape from Willow Creek. "You don't have to choose," Alex said finally. "Not yet." But Jamie's silence said otherwise. That night, he texted Alex, "Can we talk? Meet me at the lake." Alex's heart raced as he read it, his fingers trembling as he typed back a simple okay. The lake was their sanctuary, a place where the town's eyes couldn't reach. Jamie was already there when Alex arrived. His truck parked at the edge of the water. He helped Alex out, his hands steady but his eyes stormy. They sat on the tailgate, the night air cool against their skin. "I'm tired of hiding," Jamie said, his voice raw. "I'm tired of pretending I'm someone I'm not." "Then don't," Alex said, his own voice shaking. "Be you, whoever that is." Jamie turned to him, his face half lit by the moon. "You make it sound so easy. But if I admit how I feel about you, about everything, it'll ruin me. My dad, the team, this whole damn town." Alex's chest ached. He wanted to scream that he was worth it, that they were worth it. Instead, he reached for Jamie's hand, his fingers brushing against calloused skin. "You don't have to do it alone," he said. "I'm here." For a moment, they were just two boys, hands clasped, hearts open. Then Jamie leaned in, his forehead resting against Alex's, his breath warm. "You're the best thing in my life," he whispered. "And the scariest." Alex laughed, a choked sound. "Yeah, well, you're not exactly a walk in the park either." They stayed like that, suspended in time, until the sound of tires on gravel broke the spell. Headlights swept over them, and Jamie pulled back, his face pale. It was his dad's truck. Coach Carter stepped out, his silhouette looming against the night. "Jamie," he barked. "Get in the car. Now." Alex's heart sank as Jamie stood. His shoulders slumped. He didn't look back as he climbed into the truck, leaving Alex alone by the lake, the weight of unspoken words crushing him. The next week was torture. Jamie avoided the community center, his texts short and distant. Alex threw himself into his art, sketching feverishly, each stroke a release for the pain he couldn't voice. He drew Jamie over and over, Jamie laughing, Jamie angry, Jamie broken. He drew the lake, the rooftop, the moments they'd stolen. But the sketches couldn't fill the void. Then came the football game. Alex didn't want to go, but his mom insisted, saying it would get him out of the house. He sat in the bleachers, his wheelchair tucked into a corner, watching Jamie on the field. He was a shadow of himself, missing passes, fumbling plays. The crowd murmured, disappointed. But Alex saw the truth. Jamie was unraveling. After the game, Alex waited by the locker room, his heart pounding. When Jamie emerged, his hair damp from the shower, he froze at the sight of Alex. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice low. "I'm not letting you disappear," Alex said, his tone fierce. "You don't get to shut me out." Jamie's eyes glistened, but he didn't speak. He just nodded, leading Alex to a quiet corner of the parking lot. "I'm trying," he said finally. "I'm trying to be what everyone wants, but it's killing me." "Then stop," Alex said, his voice breaking. "Be with me. Be us." Jamie looked at him, and for the first time, Alex saw something new in his eyes. Resolve. He reached for Alex's hand, not caring who might see. "I'm scared," he admitted, "but I'm more scared of losing you." They didn't kiss. Not then. But the promise was there, fragile but real, binding them together against the storm that was coming. The storm broke at the homecoming dance. Willow Creek High's gym was a riot of lights and music, the air thick with sweat and cheap cologne. Alex hadn't wanted to come, but Jamie insisted, saying it was their last chance to be normal before everything changed. Alex didn't know what he meant, but the hope in Jamie's voice was enough to make him agree. They arrived together, Jamie pushing Alex's wheelchair through the crowd, ignoring the stares. Alex wore a navy blazer, his sketchbook tucked under his arm like a shield. Jamie was in a borrowed suit, his tie loose, his smile nervous but real. They found a spot near the edge of the dance floor. And for a while, it was just them, laughing over the terrible music, sharing a stolen flask of soda spiked with something stronger. Then the slow song started. Couples paired off, swaying under the dim lights. Jamie hesitated, then held out his hand. "Dance with me," he said, his voice steady despite the tremble in his fingers. Alex's heart stopped. "I can't. You know I can't." "You can," Jamie said, kneeling so they were eye level. "I've got you." Before Alex could protest, Jamie lifted him gently from the wheelchair, his arms strong and sure. They didn't dance like the others, no spinning, no steps. Jamie just held him, swaying softly, their bodies pressed close. Alex's arms wrapped around Jamie's neck, his face buried in his shoulder, the world fading away. For those 3 minutes, they were untouchable. But the world always intrudes. A group of Jamie's teammates stood nearby, their laughter cutting through the music. "What the hell? Carter," one of them shouted. "You into that now?" Jamie stiffened but didn't let go. Alex felt the heat of eyes on them, the whispers spreading like wildfire. He pulled back, his voice low. "You don't have to do this. Not for me." "I'm not," Jamie said, his eyes fierce. "I'm doing it for me." The moment was interrupted by Coach Carter storming through the crowd, his face a mask of fury. He grabbed Jamie's arm, yanking him away. "You're embarrassing yourself," he hissed. "And me." Alex's heart sank as Jamie was pulled toward the exit, the crowd parting like a wound. He wheeled after them, ignoring the stares, his hands shaking on the rims. Outside, under the harsh glow of the parking lot lights, Coach Carter was shouting, "You think this is a game? You think you can throw away everything for him?" Jamie's voice was quiet but firm. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing." Coach Carter's face twisted. "You're no son of mine if you do this." The words hit like a punch. Jamie flinched, but he didn't back down. "Then I guess I'm not your son." Alex's breath caught. He wanted to will forward, to stand between them, but he was frozen. Jamie turned to him, his eyes wet but determined. "I'm done hiding," he said. "I love you, Alex." The world tilted. Alex couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He just nodded, tears spilling down his cheeks. Jamie knelt beside him, taking his hand, and for a moment, it was enough. But Willow Creek wasn't ready to let them go. The next day, the rumors were everywhere in social media, in the halls, at the diner. Jamie was benched from the team, his scholarship in jeopardy. Alex's mom got a call from the school, concerned about his influence. The town's judgment was swift and merciless, painting Jamie as confused and Alex as a burden. They met at the lake that night, the only place they felt safe. Jamie was quieter now, the weight of his choice settling in. "I don't regret it," he said, staring at the water. "But I don't know how to do this." Alex reached for his hand, his voice steady despite the fear. "We'll figure it out. Together." They started planning small steps, like applying to colleges far from Willow Creek, where they could be themselves. But the town wasn't done with them. A week later, Alex's wheelchair was vandalized. The word "freak" scrawled across it in red paint. Jamie's truck was keyed, his locker trashed. The message was clear: they weren't welcome. Yet they didn't break. Jamie started spending nights at Alex's house, his dad's silence louder than any argument. Alex's mom, a quiet woman who'd always supported him, welcomed Jamie without question. She saw the way they looked at each other, the way they held on like lifelines. "Your family now?" she told Jamie one night, her voice soft but firm. Through it all, Alex kept drawing, his sketchbook filled with new images not just of Jamie, but of them. Two boys against the world. Their love a quiet rebellion. He showed one to Jamie, a sketch of them at the lake. Hands intertwined. The stars above them. "This is us," Alex said. "This is what we're fighting for." Jamie's eyes softened, and he leaned in, kissing Alex for the first time. It was tentative, then fierce. A promise sealed under the night sky. "You saved me," Jamie whispered. "I was drowning, and you saved me." Alex's heart swelled. "You saved me too." Winter came, and with it, a fragile hope. Alex and Jamie were inseparable now, their love a quiet defiance against Willow Creek's judgment. They spent their days planning their escape college applications, scholarships for Alex's art, a future where they could breathe freely. But the town's shadow lingered. Jamie's dad hadn't spoken to him in weeks, and Alex's wheelchair was a constant reminder of the hate they faced. Still, they held on, their love a beacon in the dark. The turning point came in February. At the annual town fair, Alex had entered his art in the community showcase, a bold move he'd hesitated over. Jamie convinced him, saying, "Show them who you are." The piece was a massive canvas, a cityscape where two figures stood together, one in a wheelchair, one beside him under a sky bursting with stars. It was their story, raw and unapologetic. The fair was crowded, the air thick with the scent of cotton candy and fried dough. Alex and Jamie stood by the canvas, hands brushing, as people whispered. Some admired the art, others sneered. Then Coach Carter appeared, his face unreadable. He stared at the painting, then at Jamie, then at Alex. For a moment, Alex thought he'd lash out. Instead, he said, "You did this." Alex nodded, bracing himself. But Coach Carter's voice softened. "It's good. Real good." He looked at Jamie, something breaking in his eyes. "I'm not there yet," he said, "but I'm trying." It wasn't acceptance. Not fully. But it was a start. Jamie's shoulders relaxed, and Alex felt a weight lift. The town didn't change overnight, some never would, but there were glimmers. A teacher who praised Alex's art. A teammate who apologized to Jamie. Small victories. Hard won. By spring, they had their acceptance letters, both to a college in Seattle, far from Willow Creek's reach. Alex's scholarship covered his tuition, and Jamie found a job to support them. They'd share a tiny apartment, a new canvas for their story. The night before they left, they returned to the lake, the place where it all began. Jamie pushed Alex's wheelchair to the water's edge, the stars reflecting like promises. "We made it," Jamie said, his voice thick with emotion. "Not yet," Alex replied, smiling. "But we will." They sat in silence, hands clasped, the future stretching before them. Alex thought of the whispers, the hate, the nights he'd doubted himself. He thought of Jamie's courage, of the way they'd saved each other. The town had thought Jamie was just kind, that Alex was just a burden. They'd been wrong. As they drove out of Willow Creek the next morning, the sunrise painting the sky in gold, Alex sketched one last image in his mind, two boys, free at last, building a life where love wasn't a secret. Jamie reached for his hand, and Alex knew they weren't just surviving. They were thriving. "You saved me," Jamie said again, his voice soft. Alex squeezed his hand. "You saved me too." And in that moment, they were enough.